Yes, now everyone, welcome back to another episode of Predicts here on the Dom's Ball Chat YouTube channel, and we're back with A-League Predicts after a week off with the international break, and I needed that week refresher. I have not been on a good run of form, and last time out was no different. I only picked up 1 point last time out. Cody, for the guest, picked up 4 points, and I've got a long way back. I'm now on 61 points. The guests are on 72, 11 points I've got to make up. It's a big deficit, but we start this week. Now I'm taking on Dan Mack, a short content form creator who does YouTube. He's done stuff for Paramount. He does stuff for everyone. Great content creator, and I've got him on the predicts this week. So let's get into it right now. Dan, thanks for joining us on the predicts. How have you found the A-League season so far?
It's been a good one, mate. Thank you for having me, first of all. It's been a really interesting season. Some massive surprises. Obviously, seeing Phoenix at the top. That's incredible. The stuff Chiefs doing up there is brilliant. But, classic A-Leagues, high-scoring games, chaos. It's why it's the best league in the world. So, yeah, I've been enjoying it this year.
First game of the week. We got a mega week this week. 8 games in total. A massive week of A-League action. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel for these A-League videos. First up, though, we have Adelaide taking on Western United in a bottom of the table clash. Two teams that will want to be scrapping it out. They won't want to pick up that wooden spoon. And, this is a big game for both teams. Western United, they're coming into a good bit of form. Adelaide, they're starting to slip a bit. They did pick up an important win last time out. And I think they pick up the win this time as well. I'm going for a 2-1 Adelaide win over Western United. First game, Adelaide versus Western United. Basically, it's a very interesting game. It's two teams that won't want the wooden spoon, but are up for grabs for it at the moment.
Yeah, look, I'd say it's do or die. You could say it's do or die. What they are still theoretically, it is still possible that they could make the top 6, although I can't see a scenario in which either side does that. At Coopers, I'd assume Adelaide will probably get the job done, but Western United, they're starting to, finally get their act together a bit. Daniel Pena's, back to his brilliant best. So, yeah, look, it's a tough one to say, but I'm going to go for, I think Western United get the job done, actually. I reckon they'll secure a 2-1 win. I'm going to go for.
Next one off the block for this week, we have Melbourne City taking on the Newcastle Jets. Melbourne City, they're really hitting their stride at the pointy end of the season, just when they want to be hitting it. They've obviously still got the chance of making finals, a real good chance at the moment. Obviously, with that 7-0 win over the Wanderers a couple of weeks ago, and they've just started to hit their form at the right time at Melbourne City. They've got 2 games this week, though, so it might play a bit of an effect on them. But I still think they pick up the win in this one. I think Newcastle just on too much of a bit of a slide to come up against a strong performing Melbourne City at the moment. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Melbourne City win. I think the Jets get on the score sheet. All right, next game up, we got Melbourne City taking on the Newcastle Jets. Big game for Melbourne City if they want to make that top 6. And Newcastle, at the moment, they're slipping in the form, but I'm sure they'll want to come into this game with a vengeance.
Yeah, look, I think City, they're still hot and cold on occasion, but when they're at their best, I think they're one of the best teams in this competition. In terms of pure quality within their squad, there's a reason they've been, dominating the league for years. That 7-0 win the other week, that was scary stuff. And then, the week before that, beating top of the table Phoenix. So I see them prevailing in this match quite comfortably, if I'm honest. I know, maybe Stamatilopoulos, or maybe Archie Goodwin or Clayton Taylor might have something to say about that, but I think Melbourne comfortably prevail on the day. I think they'll just be too strong at home. I'm gonna go with a 4-1.
Next up off the block is a absolute cracker of a game. Sydney FC taking on the Central Coast Mariners in what might be one of the most important games in these last few rounds of the A-League. Sydney FC, they're really hitting some good form of late, and they've got Jake Gerwood-Reich coming back into the team. That's going to be really, really important. And Mariners, how good have they been? Even with their congested fixtures, they've just been able to stick it out and get good, important wins, just grind out games. and I think they do the same here. We can go for a clean sheet and a 2-0 Central Coast Mariners win over Sydney FC. And then we got, might arguably be the biggest game of the round, Sydney FC taking on the Mariners. Mariners want to take out that minor premiership. They have to pretty much be flawless until the end of the season, and it starts with this game.
Yeah, well, they'll have vengeance on their mind because, Sydney battered them in Gosford a few months back. But look, it's a must-win for both teams for, I think, quite different reasons. Sydney FC, quite similar to Melbourne City, on their day, brilliant side. It's just that Ufuk Talay just hasn't been able to get that consistency. But, full strength, fully switched on. Got some quality players, experience, loads of quality, especially in attack. But yeah, look, in saying that, I still think Mariners, everything's working for them at the minute. They've won the last 4 on the bounce. I saw a stat, they've had 7 clean sheets in their last 8 games. They're just incredibly well-rounded attack and defense. And I think a big factor in this game is, does Josh Nisbet start? Because if he's in the squad, well, he's probably the most complete midfielder in the league right now. So with that being said, I think the Mariners, I just backed them. I think there's something brilliant is brewing there at the minute. Obviously, they'll be gunning for the title too. So this is a must-win for them. I think they're going to get the job done 2-1.
Next up, we have Wellington taking on Brisbane Roar in a very early Sunday kickoff. Really, Brisbane have to be winning every game from here on out. That starts with Wellington, a big ask for Brisbane Roar to take down the high-flying Wellington, who sit top of the table at the moment. And I don't think they can do it. I think they're going to go over there, give it their best. I think it's going to be very similar to when they went over there earlier in the season. I think that's going to be a lot of goals, very open game. I'm going to go for a 4-2 Wellington win. Very high scoring game. I'm looking forward to this one. I think it should be a cracker for all accounts. I think it's going to be high scoring 4-2 win for Wellington. And then over in Wellington, first game on the Sunday, we got Wellington taking on Brisbane Roar. Brisbane Roar still have a sneaking chance of making finals, although I don't think it's going to happen.
Tiny chance.
Especially against a team like Wellington and the form they're in, especially in New Zealand.
I've got a secret affinity for the Nooks, even though I am a Sydney FC fan. Fun fact, their current coach, Chief Giancarlo Italiano, he used to coach me back in the day, and it's incredible. It's incredible seeing what he's done, because I remember back in my youth football days, he's still the best coach I've ever had, and to see him get his first opportunity in the A-League and what he's doing there is unbelievable. He has that aura of like an Ange Postecoglou. He's just truly a special coach, so well spoken, and the results, what he's doing there is incredible. The football that they play, the resurgence to some of their players. Costa Barbarouses. Who's this bloke? Like, he's unreal all of a sudden. It's where was that at Sydney for the last couple of years? But no, look, fantastic. I think they're, I'd love to see them go all the way. So I'm secretly hoping that they get the job done. But Brisbane, they have to win this game. It's a tough ask for them to go to Wellington and get the 3 points, but they can't. For me, a point isn't enough. Looking at the table, Ruben Zadkovic, he hasn't playing some good footy. They play some decent stuff. They play some really good attacking brand of football, but they cop a lot of goals too, don't they? So I think they've copped the more goals than anyone in the league this year. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to the Knicks. Costa Barbarouses on the double.
And then the second Saturday game, we have Melbourne Victory taking on Perth Glory. What should be a pretty entertaining game. Two teams that aren't in the best of forms at the moment. Obviously, Victory aren't losing too many games, but they aren't winning many either. The draw specialists for this season. And Perth Glory, they've been poor in the last couple of weeks, going down at home to the Wanderers, which was surprising on all accounts. Shout out to Cody for predicting that last week. But I'm going to go for a Victory win. I think they pick up the win here. Very easily could be something like a 1-1 draw. But Victory at home, I think they're gonna want to score goals. I think that's what they're gonna try and do for the rest of the season. I think they're gonna go out and try to score goals. I think it's going to be an absolute cracking game. It's very similar to the last game that I predicted between Wellington and Brisbane. I'm going to go for a 4-3 victory win over Perth. And then the first of the 2 Sunday games, Melbourne Victory taking on Perth. Yep. Very interesting game. Perth obviously have found themselves in a bit of a dip of form of late.
Yeah.
And Victory, they just can't seem to pick up a win. They just keep drawing.
Oh, mate, they're draw merchants, aren't they? I couldn't believe they've only lost 3 games all year, but they just, they started so strong this campaign, but it's somewhat fallen off a bit. I think this will be a really good game, though. You know, you got 2 of the best 9s in the league. You know, 2 Socceroos in Fornaroli and Adam Taggart. So I think there'll be goals in this one. But look, I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to go a 2-2 draw, I think. It's got draw written all over it, doesn't it?
Now on to MacArthur Monday, the first of the 3 midweek games. MacArthur Mondays are back, and it's obviously that Easter Monday clash between MacArthur and the Western Sydney Wanderers. Looks like it's making itself into a heated little game there, a heated little rivalry between these 2 teams. MacArthur, you know, they're in some really good form, sitting 3rd on the table. Wanderers, you know, they picked up a win last time out, but before that, they hadn't had they had a really poor stretch of form, And MacArthur, I think they're just going to be too good for the Wanderers. I don't think the Wanderers have ever won at Campbelltown Stadium, and I don't think that's going to start this time out. I think that MacArthur are going to win this one 2-1. I do think the Wanderers get on the score sheet, but MacArthur are going to take this one out for sure. And then a game that's had some feisty affairs in recent times. MacArthur versus Western Sydney out at Campbelltown. It's going to be a very, very interesting game.
Are we calling this a derby? Is this officially a derby? What is this?
I mean, it's got the startings of a derby. It does have the startings of a derby.
It's got the fireworks, that's for sure. Yeah. Mate, the Wanderers, they confuse me so much. You know, after the batterings of Sydney FC away to Sydney FC and then away at Melbourne City, I thought it was curtains on their season, but then they go ahead and beat Perth. So away at Perth. So very surprising. You know, Borrello coming back. I think that's kind of galvanized the playing group a bit. But then you have a side like MacArthur, who are in my opinion, the quiet achievers. You know, they've just gone about their business. It's probably been the best year, you know, since they entered the A-League men's, and I think, you know, sat 3rd in the league. So they're doing well. They're marquees. You know, they've got top quality marquees. They've got lots of exciting players in the wide areas. And Stajovski, look, he's doing well. So despite you know, the Wanderers performing better last week, I do think that MacArthur get the job done on home soil. I'm gonna go for, let's go 2-0 to MacArthur.
And then we got the first of the 2 catch-up games, which is Melbourne City taking on Central Coast Mariners up at Gosford. Obviously, this was supposed to play last time out, but because of the Central Coast Mariners' commitments in the AFC Cup and their game against Odisha, this had to be postponed until this round. And, geez, once again, the Mariners, just how good form are they in? But these fixture congestions is just not going away for the Mariners. It's up to their own good. Like, they're performing too well in Asia to get these breaks, but I do think they get a scrappy win again. And I'm going to go for the exact same scoreline that I did against Sydney. I think they pick up another 2-0 win. I don't see them conceding at the moment. I think they can just grind out those well-worked team goals that they have been able to at times. And then we have a Tuesday game. We have
midweek.
Yes, we got 2 midweek games, and then we got Mariners versus City coming up first, which is a replay that was supposed to be played last week. Mariners, their fixture congestion is enough as it is, and then adding another midweek game to this, it's going to be very hard for them.
That is true, and you know, I'm just thinking, how do they approach these 2 games? Because, you know, Sydney FC, Melbourne City, you can't afford to rest players against these teams, because they do have the quality to punish you. So it's going to be difficult, but Mariners have an underrated squad depth. You know, they've got a lot of youth within their squad. a lot of young, talented attacking players, and defensively, they're just so good. They're so well-rounded, as I said before. I really think this comes down to who pulls up better on the weekend. Melbourne City again. This is do or die for them. They cannot afford to lose at this point of the season. So I do have a feeling though that Melbourne City at this time of the year, they're a different beast right now. I think as I said, all dependent on how they pull up from Saturday or from the weekend. But with that in mind, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think both of these teams will be very competitive, but a draw.
And then the last of the 8 games. Yes, we're finally at the last of these games this week. We have Sydney taking on Perth over in Perth. A long trip over for Sydney. It's going to be a very, very tough game for them. It's in and out. It's not going to be a long trip over in Perth. They play on the Saturday and then they have to be playing there on the Wednesday. It's going to be a hard trip for Sydney FC, that's for sure. I'm going to go for a draw though. I do think that they'll be able to pick up some points over in Perth. I think that's a win regardless. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in this one. And I think, very even game, that's for sure. Then last one, a Wednesday kickoff. We got Perth Glory taking on Sydney FC. Your team Sydney FC, that's going to be it's very, very tough away trip after a tough game against the Mariners on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, away at Perth, it's not a fun place to go. Like Sydney, it's now or never. If they don't win against Perth, then I can't see them making the 6. This is one that they can't afford a draw. So I'm going to go with the Sydney win. My bias is kicking in full swing now, and we're going to park the bus and just scrape a 1-0.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dan. Where can everyone catch you if they want to keep in touch?
Where can you catch me? You can catch me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I think all of them are under DMAC. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't do Twitter, don't do Facebook. So yeah, those 3 you'll catch me on, and it's all short form stuff.
Too easy. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, legend. Thanks for having me, mate, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks again for Dan for coming on. He's absolutely killing it at the moment with his own content, so I'll make sure to drop all of his links down in the description below. But thank you all for watching. I know it's a long video. Drop a comment if you've made it this far, and comment all your predictions for this weekend's games. A lot of games, 8 games. It's going to be a mega week of football. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of my content. And until next time, I'll see you soon.